This portion of CardioSource Video News is supported by the makers of Xarelto.
Welcome back to ACC 12. It's opening day and we're talking about late-breaking clinical trials. Athena, the FOCUS trial, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the FOCUS trial there was a lot of excitement about using stem cells, and it was a small trial of 90 patients, low ejection fraction with ischemia and viability. They injected autologous bone marrow, mononuclear cells. It was a negative trial. So any of the endpoints of ejection fraction, structure, function, MVO2, didn't see any benefit of the cells. I think importantly, when you look at it, it may be then preliminary, because when they looked at the type of cells, remember this is sort of a mishmash of cells, there might be some specific cells, if they could get at those, that did make a difference. So that's the positive.
What do you think?
You know, Athena's great. She's always very up on these, and one trial begets another trial, begets a third trial, and if we look a little harder, maybe there's one subset of cells. In fact, the CD130s, is that what, 30, whatever. One subset of cells, in fact, did show a change in ejection fraction. My concern about all these trials, Randy, is that the changes in the ejection fraction are so small that they see. We're seeing a 2 to 5% change. Do you really care if your EF goes from 33 to 35? Probably not.
Might, but you're
well,
right.
I think probably not.
You're right.
But I think you're right, Athena. There is some stuff here that we need to pursue. But right now, we still have to say, we keep beating against this wall saying, I wish this would work, and somehow it's just not working.
So he's retort to him.
There have been some positive studies, and that's why they're doing this, I think. So to me, it says, let's go to the people who are doing this, to go back to the drawing board and fine-tune it, because I think we shouldn't give up yet.
No.
Chris, you want to jump into this discussion?
Well, I agree. It's been a difficult field that really hasn't worked. I think this group set up a network that hopefully will be able to do future studies. There was some question about the cell preparation method that was different in this one, but another negative study here.
So you're welcome to entertain. Excuse me, go ahead.
I was going to say also bravo for having a late-breaking clinical trial that was negative results. We don't see enough negative results and be able to comment on that.
You're going to accept that?
I'm going to accept that.
Okay, good. No, we have. I'm glad. So we now have we have something else that's out a little bit. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
From the ridiculous to the sublime. So we're going to go to something that actually works, and that's transcatheter aortic valve replacement.
I think you've got bias here.
yeah. Whatever.
Okay.
It's where I spend my life.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so these are two studies are about the Canadian experience, about one from Europe about the core valve, and another Canadian experience for the SAPIEN. Essentially, it is more of the same, which is good news.
Right.
What we're seeing here is longer-term outcomes in patients that had transcatheter aortic valve replacement. And now at 3 years, there is still no deterioration in LV function, even in patients that have paravalvular leak. Sort of an interesting issue. I don't know where that's going to end up, but for 3 years, it seems to be okay. And if you look at the outcomes, core valve and Edwards seem to be about the same. Somewhere between 20 and 20% of patients are dead at 6 months to a year. But that is probably sort of what these patients are.
Yeah.
They're very high risk, inoperable patients.
They're comorbidities.
Comorbidities really do them in, and as they go out over time, it's the comorbidities that get them, not the valve. The valve does not deteriorate.
Chris?
So that's good news.
Well, I think it's encouraging, obviously, to see a second valve tested in a 1,000-patient series that had really reasonable-looking outcomes. And whether that would have different technical, advantages or not, but the more work in this field opens this to these super high-risk patients. We get tons referred to us at the Brigham, and they're really sick of all sorts of disease processes. So hopefully this can help.
One of the things I like about these two comparisons is that as we go forward, when both of these technologies are available commercially, we're going to be able to pick and choose patients for which device is best for which patient. And that's really what this is all about. And as we work together with the surgeons, there's going to be a big registry for TAVI in the United States, which is awesome, supported by ACC, surgeons,
and
cardiologists,
and the FDA and CMS
everybody.
for the first time.
Everyone's going to be in it. So we'll have an opportunity to see which patients do best with which technology. Looking forward to the commercial use of this. It's a huge step forward.
Athena, you brought up the point. I mean, this whole concept of team registry, very important.
I think it's also, I mean, and you've seen this too, it's created a team, the surgeons and the interventionalists working together, working with other agencies and other societies. I think that's a real step forward. I think the other piece about it that's exciting is the durability is what everyone's been worried about. And once you have the durability, and we've seen it already evolving, smaller devices, then we're going to see it hopefully in different populations, moving into the lower risk group.
And the awareness of perivalvular AI, how to avoid it and all that sort of stuff is
It's-
interesting. So let me ask you, so as we wrap up, what do you think are the take-home messages? I know we talked a little bit about the FOCUS, but what's the take-home message for the viewers for the FOCUS trial?
Well, I think, as we've seen, stem cell therapy is not ready for prime time, but we've got some really good, well-organized groups that are looking at that long term.
Good, you agree with that?
I totally agree.
Core valve?
Core valve and
in
Edwards.
this study in Edwards valve?
Same old, good old, good old. This is good stuff. At 3 years, it looks just as good at 1 year, and the long-term issues are not looking like they're going to be a problem. This is good.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree. This is a therapy that really does work. I mean, balloon angioplasty for aortic stenosis, we're excited about that, had no durability. Here we're seeing it now, and we need the long-term outcomes to say this is worth putting our patients through.
Sure.
And can be of great benefit. So very exciting.
Just a quick word, and that is the patients that die are still the issue. Athena said earlier, patient selection, patient selection, patient selection on another trial completely. But now we have the same issue. We still need to be able to pinpoint the patients who should not have the valve.
Is that
the ones that die
comorbidity
early.
driven, you think?
Not necessarily, because early the 20% mortality is probably related to the actual procedure having stuff done to very high-risk patients. We need to pinpoint those who don't live a long time and say to ourselves, is it really worth doing it? And we don't know the answers to that
Athena-
yet.
You don't
Athena's-
think it's part of the learning curve?
I think it is
Yeah,
part of the
definitely-
learning curve.
Definitely part of the
Yeah.
learning curve. Okay, well, listen, great discussion as always. You, the three musketeers here, do a great job as always. And we're going to have a lot more coming to you over the ensuing days here at ACC 12. So come back and join us. Thanks very much.